You're welcome. I asked all of you guys last Sunday what the good news was. And I told you there was a second question we needed to ask based on this text from Mark. So the first question was, what was the good news? We guys discussed this as a group last Sunday. We wanted to have the kids discuss it this week. The second question, and it's the question that I imagine is on most of your minds, is why in the world, Pastor, do you think that I, as in you guys, have the ability to share the good news? I mean, of all the things that I'm skilled at in the world, talking to other people about God is maybe not my best skill. John Catino at our Bible study today, he's like, I feel like Moses most of the time. Not Moses after he got called and started going out doing things. Moses when God was like, I'm going to have you go talk to other people. Moses was like, what? You're going to make me do what? And God's like, I'm going to make you go talk to Pharaoh, and you're going to go, make a difference. And Moses is like, I don't know how to speak. I just lost my understanding of language right now. Please, God, no. John says, that's how I feel when I'm asked to go talk to someone else about my faith. And I imagine many of us in this room have that feeling. Have that feeling of, why in the world do you think I would have any ability ever to possibly go out and share my faith with anyone else? And even if I did, how in the world would I do it? So Jesus goes and he finds these disciples, Simon and Andrew and James and John. Now, like good Jewish boys, they probably had gone to school and learned the first 5 books of the Bible. But like most Jewish boys, because most people can't end up being disciples, they had been tested and found wanting when they came of age. And the rabbis said, I'm sorry, you're not good enough to continue in your education. Bye-bye. Go back home, work for your parents. That's what happened because they're back home working for their parents. So it's pretty clear, they're not the cream of the crop. These are not the brightest light bulbs in the shed, let me tell you. These disciples, if you've ever read the Bible, you know that Simon Peter is a numbskull. He has rocks rolling around up here. That's why Jesus called, no, that's not why. But he's called Rocky for a reason. You are my rock, Peter, that's what his name means. These aren't the cream of the crop. Why would Jesus pick these people? Of all the people Jesus could pick, why would he pick these people? They'd already been rejected by every other rabbi out there. Why would Jesus pick them? And he goes up and he says, follow me, and I will make you fish for people. Follow me, and I will make you fish for people. And I have to wonder, what was Jesus looking for? I think he was looking for people with real experiences. And Simon and Andrew and James and John, they knew how to fish well. You know what skills it takes to do fishing? If you were to name a skill and you think of fishing, what's a skill that it takes? Patience. Oh, there's a reason I don't go fishing. Okay? I cannot withstand sitting in that boat for hours upon end catching nothing. That would just drive me insane. They have to know patience. They have to know how to sit there and wait and do nothing. And they have to know how to, they're using nets, not fishing lines, but they have to know how to let their net down in the water and sit there and wait and do nothing and hope. And then they pull their net out of the water and it's empty. And they have to get over that and go to the next spot. They just spent an hour at this spot, now we'll go to the next spot, and they put their nets back down in the water. And maybe they catch something and maybe they don't. And maybe they come through the whole day and they've only got 2 fish to show for it. And this is their livelihood. This isn't just, we went out fishing for fun. This is how they're making money and supporting their family. And maybe today we only caught 2 fish. They really got to know patience. They got to know how to be disappointed. They also got to know how to look for the right spots. They got to know how to be able to judge what's going on underneath the surface and figure out where they'll make a catch. The disciples, as fishermen, had learned skills that Jesus said, I'm going to now teach you how to take those same skills and fish for people. So my dad, he is a farmer and he does field drainage. He enjoys going to coffee hours, but other than that, he's not the most highly sociable person in the world. He doesn't go out in crowds that often. He is definitely not a public speaker. He has never gone up here at my home church and read the readings on Sunday morning ever in my entire life. He is not that type of person. And if Jesus were to come up to him and say, Dan, I am going to call you, you're going to be a disciple, and you're going to go out and evangelize, he'd be like, you crazy. He wouldn't say it quite that way, but there would be a clear no coming out of him. And Jesus would be like, look, I'm going to go make you farm people. You've got skills, Dan. You know how to plant something and patiently watch it grow. To notice the moments when it needs a little bit of more nutrients over here, and the moments when you can just let it be and it's doing fine. You know how to tell when the harvest is ready. But more than that, my dad's not just a farmer, he does this field drainage, and in field drainage, that means he's working for lots of other people. So he's a small businessman. And he has told me multiple times, I have learned as a small businessman, you never make anyone angry. Even if you don't like them, you don't tell rumors about them. You make sure that you stay on people's good sides and that you're nice to them and that you care about them even if you don't want to. He goes up to coffee hour and all the farmers, they gossip about everything else that's going on. My dad says, I never join in the gossip. Because if it gets back to so-and-so that I gossiped about them, then it'll get back to their brother that I gossiped about them, and then it'll get back to their parents I gossiped about them, and then to their cousin over here, and then to the nephew over there, because like out here, there's family everywhere in Iowa. My father has learned how to like people even if he doesn't like them, I think is how I'd put it. He's learned how to love people even if he doesn't want to love them. He's learned skills for ministry, even if he didn't realize it. Skills that can be used to say, if I were to send you out, you could be an effective evangelist. You have gotten skills. Charlene, you're a teacher and an accountant. Tell me, what skills do you need for accounting? You have to like numbers. Okay.
You have to understand, it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. You have to understand how everything kind of fits together. You have to be able to interpret laws and rules, counting rules, so you know that you're doing something.
Okay. So, in evangelism, one of the things that we have to do is we have to kind of try to interpret what's going on in other people's lives and find out where in the puzzle things are broken, where things aren't fitting together. Because the place where the good news really reaches a person is in that spot where the pieces aren't fitting. We also have to learn how to observe the numbers. In this area, one of the things, observing the numbers, I know congregations everywhere, they're like, we want you to bring in people, we particularly want you to bring in families with children. And we will hopefully do some of that. But the reality is, in this area, there's so many less families with children than there are families without children. That we need to learn how to evangelize to the people who are empty nesters and who never had kids and who are in retirement but are living in this community. We look at the numbers and we observe, how is it that we can best put these numbers together? Tell me about being a teacher.
You need a lot of patience.
It's a different type of patience than the disciples, though,
Yes.
than fishing. So one of the things about evangelism is that hopefully a lot of times we end up talking to people who've never been part of the church before or who haven't been part of it in a long time. And you know, if you told them, Jesus gives me salvation, they're going to look at you and say, okay, the first term and the last term of that sentence were both meaningless to me. I have no idea what you just said. As much as, you said last week, you said one of the pieces of good news for me is that, someday I'm going to go to heaven and I'm going to see my family again, and I'm going to be part of that eternal picture. And people who aren't part of the church, heaven may not be part of their concept for them. Eternity may not be part of the concept for them. Seeing family again, I think everyone has that experience. But we have to learn how to put it in language that they'll understand. And sometimes that takes a lot of patience. Because we're trying every which way to figure out how to put it in the right words. Bobby, what skills do you need for soccer? Hand-eye coordination? Foot-eye coordination. All right. What else? Conditioning? Anything else? When we go out in the world, part of what we do is we come here every week and we train. You may not think of this always as training, because there's lots of other things we're doing here. We're getting nutrients, we're growing together as a community. But we come here and train every week for what it is the good news that we have to take out. We have to get our bodies in shape for this. We have to practice sometimes sharing with each other, saying, here's how we do this. We can't, running out into the world and trying to be an accessible evangelist, it was the hardest thing in the world. It'd be like trying to go and play in the World Cup without ever having played soccer before. We take some time to figure this game out. Anyone else? Let's see, I don't know everyone's occupations, so I don't know. Tom, tell me about engineering.
There's a lot of building blocks you need to know the various disciplines. So, very broad.
It's very broad. I imagine you rely on a lot of other people for help. That you no? Do it all on your own. You had to kind of get a general understanding of everything. What do you do on the job then when you're out? Okay.
So I go from top to bottom, all the different systems, the structure, and give an overview of the property and the anticipated maintenance and repair for the next 10 years. And the bank takes that and does a risk analysis based on our report.
When we are going out and being structural engineers for people, one of the skills you need is to be able to simply observe where are the things that need help in this life? Where are the ways that this here isn't working and this here isn't quite working, and that I can help them address that issue? We have a family that the church has been in contact with where we've asked them, we said, we know that there's a lot of things going on in your life, and we know that some of those things we don't have the skills to help you with. They're just beyond our ability. But we are in conversation with a person that's connected with them to say, help us look for a place where the church has the tools to help address the problem that's going on. We need to be able to do that. And we are looking for those type of opportunities to say, where are the places where the tools that we have here meet the needs that they have there? Where's the structural problems, and how can we help those? One of my firm beliefs is that God prepares all Christians for the ministry that God needs. That you may think I spent my life preparing for this or for that. I invested into these hobbies here and there, and they have nothing to do with the church. But the truth is that all the things that you have been doing in your life are able to be used by God. There is no such thing as an investment where God has not been nurturing seeds to grow into something more fully. I was thinking of Pat Brader as I was writing this sermon, thinking, okay, take Pat, for example, where she is now retired. The thing she invests in is her grandkids. That's her investment. She spends all her time and energy and resources going to events for her grandkids. And I'm thinking about that. I'm going, Pat, I'm going to guarantee, one, I've seen it, you've made tons of good connections with the families, because you are in that cheering section every single week and everyone knows you. And I'm going to guess that she has become like a grandma to a number of those grandkids and a pretty big mascot for a number of the sports teams she attends. I'm like, Pat, you've got skills and connections you couldn't believe in order to be able to reach out to people and share with them what it means to be a person of faith and how that faith has changed your life. Because that's the other part of the reality. The disciples, they were called to follow Jesus. But not every disciple is called to go somewhere else to do ministry. I left Iowa to come here, but you guys are not called to have to leave Pleasant Valley necessarily to do ministry. Most of you guys are going to stay in this area. You're going to be like the Samaritan woman who Jesus said, go back home and tell them. You're going to be like the man who had the legion of demons, whom Jesus said, go back to your people and tell them the good news. Go back to the people that you take care of on a daily basis and show them the good news. Go back to the buildings and the people who own them and help them understand the good news. Go back to your teammates whom you have been on a team with now for over a year and help them see the good news through your life. Go back to all those places where you have been sharing your life. That's where you are called. And for those people who we are called to be a witness to, who aren't part of the church yet or who haven't heard about Christ or who are in doubt about their faith, there's also a promise in Scripture where Jesus says, I am getting the harvest ready. And by the time you are sent, it will be ready to be picked. Like a farmer, Jesus has been raising up the plants for quite a while. And the harvest, when we go out, it'll be there. So I have a challenge for the congregation. If you read the newsletter, you know what the challenge is in terms of I wanted to have a very specific goal in our year of focusing on evangelism for what we're going to do. My goal is that we get 24 to 36 new people involved in our ministry in one way or another. It doesn't have to be an eternal commitment, but involved means they've attended something twice. That's going to be my marker. I think that's a pretty low bar, even though it might sound really high to you. 24 to 36 people who haven't been involved in this church before, who come to prime timers twice, who come to youth group twice, who join us for worship at least twice, who become a part of this ministry in some way or another, at least for more than one moment. And then my hope is that at least 12 of those people translate into new members for our church. So our goal, and let me put it in a different light, there are, you may look around the congregation and go, 36 new people in the ministry, looking around, okay, that's like one out of every two people here needs to find someone new. But we don't have everyone in church every single Sunday. We have 100 active adults and another 40 active youth in this congregation. That means to get 24 to 36, that means only 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 of you need to succeed in getting one person to come to church twice, or to come to prime timers twice, or to join us on a mission trip twice, or to help us with a service project twice. 1 in 4 or 5 of you. need to succeed once this year in getting someone to come with us twice to something. That's my challenge to you. I'm going to help us grow to that point. We are going to continue to look for ways that we can nurture what it means to be evangelists. Because I guarantee you, there are people out there who are longing for the gifts we have. And I'm going to guarantee you, even if you don't think you'd be very good at speaking to other people about your faith and sharing with them what it means what it means to be a Christian and how valuable it is for what God has done for you, I'm going to guarantee you, God has already put gifts in you that have prepared you to do that. Amen.